Right before I hit record, I just came up with maybe the corniest name for this series that I could come up with, but I'm going to use it. It's going to be called DISCAGREE. Like disagree, but with a C in there. Anyway, this is a series I'm coming out with on Mondays, of course, because it is literally howling outside and I can't go out and film videos, unfortunately. According to my weather app, at 4 p.m. today, there's going to be 28 mile-an-hour winds with 48 mile-an-hour wind gusts, and it will be 19 degrees outside. So if that gives you an idea of what I'm dealing with here. Anyway, you guys send in all your hot takes. It's time for me to pick the best ones and disagree. I feel stupid saying that. Disc golf content creators sell more discs than most pros. This might kind of be true in the sense that the upper echelon of disc golf content creators have a pretty high ceiling, and we're probably going to outsell a lot of the pros, especially on the lower rung of the tour, because they're just not going to be on lead cards as much, and usually they're not going to be like as popular with people in general. However, I think that's only really true for a select handful of content creators. If I'm thinking about the YouTube space, I think Brody Smith is up there where, yeah, he's a disc golf content creator, but he was also a content creator way before he was in disc golf and kind of had a lot of popularity that he brought with him into the space. And then people like Anthony Bedanza, who have kind of come up in disc golf and become pretty popular. I'm sure he outsells plenty of touring pros because of his presence in content creation. But if you look at it as a whole, as like a representative full picture of all the content creators, because there are a lot of disc golf content creators and 99% of them sell no discs or anything at all. There's a lot of people making YouTube videos, myself included, that just aren't popular enough to be selling a bunch of stuff. There's just a couple that are doing pretty well, where I think there's a good chunk of players on tour who are like selling a good amount of discs. I just don't think there's that many content creators doing the same. Now, if you're saying the top content creators can outsell the top pros, maybe there's an argument there. I don't know the numbers. I would say, though, even the top pros, especially with how long they've been around, Nate Sexton, Jeremy Colling, Simon Lizotte, Paul McBeth, they're also all probably outselling most content creators. I think disc golf content creation is sort of in its infancy stages right now, and the players that are selling the discs at the top of the Pro Tour have been around for longer than I think sort of the current age of content creation. MA2 makes no sense. MA4 as a complete beginner, MA3 for rec, and MA1 for you're going after it. I'm guessing you're meaning like kind of like close to pro. Yeah, I don't really know what like the different vibes are of AMs. I played in MA3, MA2, and MA1. I never played in MA4, but from my understanding, MA3, from when I played in it the one time, it is people that kind of know what they're doing. They might not be very good, but they've probably played disc golf for a little while. They have a good set of discs. They have like a nice bag, maybe like a retriever, all that good stuff. Like they're not like usually brand new to disc golf. Some maybe are, but I think generally like there's an assumed level of competence when it comes to competition, where from what I understand, MA4 is a level below that, where you really are just brand new or like really bad, I guess. And I think the reason they added MA4, because to my knowledge it wasn't a thing when I was playing MA3, is to give those players that are like absolute beginners somewhere to go if they want to participate in tournaments, because tournaments are fun and you don't want to feel like you have to go into this MA3 crowd of people who've been, a lot of them, playing for quite a while. I think MA2 is this weird limbo space though, where like it's between the MA1 level of like higher competition and the MA3 level of like more of a recreational level. I don't think that's necessarily like a bad thing. It is a space that people can spend if they feel like they're above like a recreational level but they don't quite want to be at that high level of competition. I do think it creates kind of a weird space where people are weird about the rules and stuff and like competitive but not good. So I mean, I remember when I played MA2 was the only time I ever got like called on like weird rules calls that like no one would ever call anywhere else. So I don't know, there's some criticisms for MA2, but I think it's fine and it has its place, and as long as people keep filling it up for tournaments, then go for it. Disc manufacturers sending discs to content creators with the same talking points or 30-day challenges is getting old. Look, at the end of the day, these companies want to make money. They want to sell discs, and they're going to send their discs out to people who are going to put them on their channel, talk about them, throw them, review them. If you look at any other space on YouTube or just in the world in general, but I think YouTube's a great example, there are reviewers everywhere. I mean, there's critics, there's movie critics, there's music critics, there's restaurant critics. There are people doing movie and music and food reviews on the internet. And then I think a good analog to disc golf would be like the tech world, where people are looking to spend money on things and they want to see what their favorite creator says about it, because maybe they've created kind of a reputation to be well representative of what people are going to want. They've created a reputation where people trust their opinion. And so companies are going to send their product out to those people because, one, their audience is going to watch it and it's going to be kind of an endorsement for them, and two, it's probably going to get them some money. So maybe you don't like the content creators themselves, but this has been happening in other spaces of the world, in other markets for way longer than it has in disc golf, and I just think it needs to get better. Maybe reviewers need to get better at reviewing discs. Stop copying pro players' form like McBeth and Drew. Their bodies are different than yours, and they also are super athletic. Just focus on the key points of form, and it will all come together with time. Yeah, this one I could not disagree with more. I think one of the best ways to learn form and to get good form is to pick someone that you like, whose form you like, that isn't too abnormal, and try your best to copy it. Because I've done the thing where I just kind of picked up out of thin air or whatever a bunch of different tips and form cues and then tried to implement them into my game individually and then just kind of hope that a good product came of it. And I did get better, but there were like small things. There were a lot of things that I don't think were being seen by me, and it took me looking at a pro and saying, let me try and copy what they're doing and see what it is that I'm struggling with. And it wasn't until I started to do that and tried to really copy a pro's form that I started to see, oh, okay, there's this little timing thing happening, or they're just angling this a little bit differently. Like, you're just not gonna get that through a bunch of different tips and stuff, and a lot of coaches aren't even gonna pick up on that. It's gonna take you knowing your form really well and comparing it to someone else and trying to replicate it to kind of see, oh, okay, I don't understand why he's doing that, let me figure that out. And then once you do, you understand why they throw that way. Their form is already a great template. It's clean, it's consistent, they can throw far. If you can do that, you'll throw far and be good too, right? Like, if you can throw like McBeth, you're probably pretty freaking good at disc golf. So why not copy his form, learn what works for him, and then branch off from there and then start to create your own habits. I think creating your own form from the beginning is like a backwards way of doing it. Use someone else's form as a template and then build off of that foundation. And the idea that their body is different or they're like really athletic build or something, I mean, everyone's body is different. You're not gonna have anyone that has the perfect analog to you. And so if you're gonna try and use someone as a template, you might as well try and find someone that you like to watch throw. I've watched someone like Simon Lizotte or Gannon Buhr a ton, and they're both way taller than me and have way different builds and have different wingspans and hand sizes and probably throw different discs, yet I still learned a lot by looking at their form and trying to figure out what it is that works for them. So yes, maybe you should try and pick people that have a similar body type to you, but I don't think that necessarily means that you should just write off copying pros' form because they're just more athletic than you, and I should go watch, you know, Bob over at the local course and use his form because he can throw 20 feet further than me. You should have to win a tournament in each AM division to move up to the next. I mean, I started playing in MA3. I played one tournament in MA3 and I didn't win. I got fourth. My putting was pretty bad, but I clearly was out of my depth. You know, whoever beat me by a couple of strokes. They had a better day. But it was pretty clear that I shouldn't have been playing in MA3, and it was easy for me to move up. So I moved up to MA2. I played in there for, I think, 2, maybe 3 tournaments, and I quickly realized that, you know what, I could probably move up from this as well, and I want better competition. So I moved up to MA1, and I played in MA1 for a while, and I eventually decided to play MPO because I was kind of tired of the level of competition, the type of players that I was playing against in MA1, and I hadn't gotten a win in any of these. Then I went to MPO. I played a whole year in MPO without getting a single win. Last year I got 4 wins in MPO, and I am, I think, currently on the front page. If you look at MPO disc golfers in New York, I think I'm on the first page in terms of rating. So clearly my progression was fine. I didn't win a tournament I've never won an amateur tournament in my entire life. I think if I had stuck around and played in these divisions until I won, it would have slowed my growth so much because yes, I would have learned to win a tournament in MA3, but like, it's not that hard to win in MA3 or MA2 or MA1, in my opinion. And so I don't think learning to win at that level is really that much of a skill. you kind of just play somewhat consistently, and the people that you playing against just kind of screw up a bunch and then you win. That's a little bit less what happens more. Maybe you get into a position where you got to battle to the end and win, but for the most part, I don't think getting a win is that important. I could just get second in like 10 tournaments. Does that mean I shouldn't move up if I keep getting second and keep shooting better than everyone else, but just not being able to get the win? I say move up whenever you feel like you're ready to move up. And if you lose and you're dead last in every single tournament, I don't really see the problem with that. You're just giving plastic or money or spots or ratings to whoever. I guess the only consideration would be you don't want people playing up to be in a division they shouldn't be in. Like, you wouldn't want an 850 rated player playing an MPO, and even though they're going to end up at the bottom of the scoreboard, you know, the first round they're going to end up with some random player and maybe kind of bring them down. I definitely think that's a thing where, like, it's bad to have really low rated players playing up too high, because they bring the vibe of the card down. Having to watch someone throw terrible shots and miss putts the entire round is just not as fun. If you can be on a card with the 3,000 rated players or 3,900 rated players, you're probably going to play way better with the 3,000 rated players. At least for me and most people I know, that's the case. So I can see it from that point of view. But needing to get a win, I don't know. Just go by your rating. Generally speaking, if you just look at your rating and the rating of the people of the division that you're in, and you're kind of close to it, or maybe you want to punch up a little bit. I started playing MPO when I was like 919 rated. It might have been a little bit soon. I probably could have played MA1 for a little longer, but I think it helped me a lot, and I don't really remember anyone really caring all that much that I was playing MPO at a slightly lower rating. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a bad take. I think just try to play where you're at. Tournament directors can make decisions and say, hey, you know, you're too low of a rating to be here. I'm going to move you down. That can also just happen. So why wait for a disc to beat in? Weight variation can speed up the process. Well, there's a couple of things there. First of all, if you are throwing a bunch of different weighted discs all the time, even though it's minor, differences in weight, especially having a bunch of wide range of differences in weight, can throw off your form. There's a reason why a bowler is going to bowl the same weighted ball on pretty much every single shot. If they throw a 14-pound ball for one shot and then a 15-pound ball for another shot, maybe it does affect the way the ball moves, but you're swinging a different weighted object. It's going to throw off the timing. And as we know, in disc golf, timing is wildly important, and throwing something that is 10 or 20 grams lighter while having a different flight is going to come out of your hand maybe a little bit different. And you could probably train for that, or you can just throw different variations of disc all at the same weight and then just use the lightweight ones for very specific shots. For me, I really only throw lightweight discs for rollers. Everything else is max weight. It helps me ensure that everything is as similar as possible when I'm throwing it, so that I can have fewer variables to worry about. If I had to throw a bunch of lighter weight discs all the time, I think it would just mess with things a little bit. Throwing a destroyer on a 150-foot shot is the right choice if the line calls for it. I mean, saying this disc is the right choice if it calls for it is like not really a take. That's just kind of like true. Like, hey, you know, this disc is the right disc because it calls for it. Like, I mean, you can't really argue with that. If it's true that this is what it calls for, then it does. I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I had a 150-foot shot where I felt like the destroyer was the number one disc I had to throw there. Could I have thrown a 150-foot shot with a destroyer and parked it? Sure, but I don't know if it's ever like that's the shot that I need to throw. I can also throw a putter on a 350-foot shot. I had a video where I threw with my putters on a course and I was able to park a 360-foot hole when I hardly ever birdie it otherwise. But I still don't think that the putter is like the disc I should go with most of the time, because I have to throw it way too hard. The angle has to be very specific, and it's just, I don't know, it's just not the disc for the shot. And I can't imagine how you could ever find yourself in a situation where throwing a destroyer on a 150-foot shot is the optimal situation. Maybe if you're throwing like a grenade or like a really extreme skip shot, I don't know. I would say 99.9% of the time, if the shot is 150 feet, you don't need to throw a destroyer. Thanks for all those hot takes. I'll have some more coming in as the off season progresses. We're getting pretty close to it, finally getting a little nicer outside. I got some discs coming in that I'm gonna review. We got some new stuff coming in the bag, so look out for that. I still have some mystery boxes on my website. $40, 5 premium discs, if you wanna help me out and get yourself a great deal on some used discs or new. A lot of them are actually brand new. Then go to my website and buy one of these. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.